A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.
Biggest thing we can do is just get stops and run. Stops and run, guys. Push, push, push every time.
Extra session with Kiko Malicdem tackles everything about the world of sports, especially the one close to the host heart, basketball. Updates, discussion, clarification, name it. Extra session has it. Extra session with Kiko Malicdem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 14 of Extra Session with Kiko Malicdem here in Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate Philippines. And today we are very lucky to have with us a former PBA Rookie of the Year and Mythical 5 member. Despite playing for just 5 years in the pros, he has surely made an impact in Philippine basketball. Without further ado, let's all welcome Mr. Davonn Harp. Davonn, good day.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing right now, Davonn? It's been years since the Philippine basketball fans actually heard something from you.
I'm doing quite well right now. I'm a high school teacher now. I teach high school, and I'm also the basketball coach. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's great. That's great to hear. Let's go back down to memory lane, okay? So how were you able to bring your talents to the Philippines? Did someone ask you to come over and try out and join, something like that?
Well, actually, through my father, because my my father was actually a Filipino. Mm-hmm. So uncle, I have a relative of mine I never really met before. Mm-hmm. He's the one who first told me about PBA because I have never heard of it. Mm-hmm. And then that's how I ended up joining.
Okay, so tell us about your first experience playing basketball in the Philippines. How was it different from the games that you played outside? I mean, there in the United States.
Honestly, it's not that much difference. I mean, if people will tell you it's the same intensity, the same hard work. A lot of guys had the same drive. So, I mean, to be honestly with you, other than maybe the size of the players, there's not a lot of difference as far as the style of play and the intensity. So, I mean, it's really not a big difference.
Now, when Batang Red Bull moved up to the PBA, you were one of the selected ones to join the team. How was the experience playing in the pro, especially on your first season? A lot were surprised that your play went up the notch compared to the PBL.
Well, you got to understand, that team that we had, man, we were all kids. I mean, me, Jim Well, Junti, and Lordy, all those guys, we were all still young guys. I was 21 at the time, and we were all around the same age. So when we all came up together, it was just a shocking experience to play against honest grown men. It was experience, and we just all had to deal with it together. So that's one thing I'll always remember, how we all just kind of came up together from the PBL team, and then we moved up to the PBA team.
I see. And then you played under Coach Yeng Guiao. How was he as a coach? And what are the things that you learned from him when you were playing under him?
Coach Yeng Guiao he was a great mentor. I'm sure he's probably still doing well out there. He just taught us how to be pros. You got to give that guy a lot of respect, because he took a lot of young kids and turned us into the grown men on the court, and stuck by us, guided us to 2 championships. So hats off to Coach Yeng, honestly.
But were you one of his favorites during practices? How tough Coach Yeng is during games.
Hey, Coach Yeng probably didn't have a favorite, man. I have a favorite. He's a great coach, man. I learned a lot from him in my time there. I did.
I see. Are you still in touch with your former teammates?
Me and a couple guys, we still communicate through Facebook and other social media. Yeah.
Yes. And your PBA career lasted 5 years, but those 5 years were terrific. You were considered as one of the best big young men in the league. How were you able to be consistent in your game, especially with all the banging that you experience inside the shaded lane?
It was just a little bit, a couple of things. Like I said, when I got there, I was like 21. So I don't think I was a full developed man at the time. I had to improve on my game, had to improve on my body, had to get in shape to play basketball, to play professional basketball. When I got there, I wasn't in any shape, so I had to learn how to do that. I had to work on my game. The coaching staff that we had at Red Bull was great. They worked on us. They worked our tails off. I mean, we just, you take a lot of young guys and you got to mold them. And we did that in like a year. So, I'm always proud of that. That's one of the memories I will always have the rest of my life.
What was the fondest memory of you playing in your playing years in the PBA?
It has to be that first championship that we won in 2001. Because you got to think, like, our first year there in 2000, like, I think we won like 9 games, maybe 10 the whole season. And the thing was, like, when that Christmas break, that holiday came, I mean, we didn't take a holiday. We all stayed and we worked out that whole Christmas time through the holidays, and we came back that next season. Coach Yeng had us ready to go, and we proved that.
Now let's clear things up, once and for all, because you were part of those, the controversy. Are you a Filipino?
My father is a Filipino, and my mother is an African American. So far as I know, that means yes.
Yes. What was your reaction when the powers to be back at those days were all eyes on the Fil-Shams playing in the PBA and tagged you as a Fil-Sham? What was your reaction to that?
I mean, it's like, I understand where both sides are coming from. I have to honestly say that. Because if it's not a real Filipino American and you're taking a job from somebody that can have a job, I understand that. That's the part that I do understand. But also on the same token, if someone is coming and they're showing you their documents and they're proving that everything, they've been through all the tests and all that through the DOJ, I don't see what else we're dealing with there.
I see.
But I see both sides of the story though.
I see. But were you hurt by that, or?
Yeah, honestly, I was. It was, because you got to think, like, when you go out to the malls or the dinner or whatever, you're recognized. Everybody pretty much know who you are, and then you got people questioning, and it does hurt.
Yeah, especially deep inside, you know that you are a legit Filipino, right?
Yeah.
Now, while waiting, what did you do? Well, when you were waiting to clear your name, did you go back to the States or did you try to look for the documents needed for you to prove yourself?
Well, I stayed in Manila, and then I came prepared. All my documents were with me when I first arrived, so I didn't have to wait for anything. They just had to, I guess, review it or whatever that you want to call that. For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So I never left the Philippines. I just stayed and worked out until everything was clear.
Yes, and then when you finally, when they finally cleared you, a lot were, surprised you didn't come back. Why didn't you play again? I mean, was it lack of desire of playing basketball?
No, I never had a lack of desire. I just a couple of things. I had some issues with my family. My grandmother wasn't doing well at the time. I had an uncle not doing well. I had some family issues, and I thought it was better for me to be back here in Ohio to help take care of some family members.
I see. Because a lot of basketball fans were saying, "Oh man, that Davonn Harp could have, could be a big basketball star if he had, resumed playing basketball." Were there any teams reaching out to you when you, to play once again?
I actually did not hear any team reaching out to me.
Oh,
yeah.
Now, if ever, you would want to come back at that time, which team do you want to play for?
I don't. That's like a broad question. I really, I'll be the answer. I mean, of course, my loyalty still is going to lie with Red Bull. So I mean, that's what I'm. That's going to be my answer. I don't know.
Yes.
So stay loyal to the team,
to the only team that you played for. Yeah.
Right.
Who was the basketball player you looked up growing up?
Oh man, so many guys, because Chris Webber, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Penny Hardaway. I just try to get some uh, from everybody's game and try to, add it to mine. Because I was a big guy, but I also can handle the ball a little bit. So I
Yes.
try to do a bit of everything. I like to pass the ball, play defense, score when I could. So I just try to do everything.
Was there anyone during your time that you hated facing on the basketball court because he was rough or you had a hard time playing against him?
Oh man, there's so many guys. I could tell you, Marlo Aquino was a monster, man. Marlo, of course, Ali Peak he was a monster down there. Oh man, I can keep going, but like those two guys always stand out to me when I think back about stuff like that.
Mhm. Now,
Yeah.
in the PBA, who was the player that caught your attention because he played good against your team, or I mean other teams, since you're a player in the PBA before?
I thought was really, really smooth. I really liked Julian Pont's game. Julian
Julian Pont.
Pont was
Yeah.
was real smooth out there. I like how he played the game. I like how he carried himself. He was really smooth out there. I like June. Who else could I say? Don Hunter Barris,
Oh
if I'm
yeah.
saying it right.
Yeah.
He had a nice game. Yeah, man, man. I can keep naming guys. We'd be here all night if I keep naming guys. But yeah, don't. Yeah, but I really shout out to Julian Pont, man. He got a really smooth. He had a really smooth game back then when we played.
Yes. And was there the best defensive player other than you in the PBA?
Oh man, probably gotta say what Chris Jackson from when he used to play for
Oh yeah.
Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they call him, Stonewall Jackson.
Yes. Stonewall. Yeah, he's a good defensive player. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty good. Yeah.
if you decided to continue playing, how do you see yourself in the PBA history?
Like you said, it was only 5 years, but I hope in that time span, I just hope I left my mark. Could have been a little bit more mature when I was there.
Mhm.
But again, we were like we all were young. My whole team was young, pretty much.
Mhm.
I just hope when I was there, I left a mark. You know what I mean? That I hope that I inspired somebody, a young guy that wanted to play basketball. I hope that I was able to do that.
Your who was your favorite teammate and why?
Man, man, your questions, man. Man, oh man, my favorite teammate, man, I got a couple. I got my man Jim Torion was my guy. He was my guy, my man. Honestly, the guy that really was a good mentor to me when I was there and I was young. Chris Bellotto was a real, God rest his soul, passed. But Chris Bellotto was a real good mentor for me. He really showed me the ropes. He took me under his wing, and he really there for me when I needed him. In a certain time. So I shout out to my man, love him in heaven. My man Chris Bellotto was a real good guy.
Yeah, sometimes when you try to walk back, I mean, go back to memories, you can help but just smile. I mean, those
Oh
were
yeah,
good
yeah,
memories.
absolutely,
Now,
absolutely.
what was your biggest regret in your basketball career?
I wouldn't even call it a regret. You just always wish that you would have worked harder, that you
Hmm.
could have done more. Could we win another championship? Could we, could we just done some more? I always,
Hmm.
I just wish I could have done more. As far as winning concerned,
Yes.
as a team and as personal. Yeah.
Yeah. If ever a PBA team reaches out to you and offers you to make a comeback in the PBA, but not as a player, of course,
Okay.
uh, but as a part of a coaching staff, would you consider it? You of course you have to bring your family
Yeah.
in the Philippines. Would you reconsider that option?
I think I would. I think I can't play no more. Not full court. No. But yeah, definitely would consider because whatever knowledge I have, I would like to pass it on to the next generation. So of course, if ever it was an offer, I would definitely consider helping out a team, coach, especially some young talented guys. And I know there's plenty of them out there, so I would definitely help out.
Where are you? I mean, in touch with the happenings with the PBA, something like that.
Not exactly. You
Mhm.
know, honestly, don't check on it really, not anymore.
I see. But
Yeah,
there are still some fans, who try to reach out to you, and uh, well, how do you feel with that? So, in the
man,
social media.
I'm going to tell you that is so like how me and you talking right now. Me and you've been talking for like a couple weeks now. This is awesome, man. And the social media is awesome because you have a chance to speak to people that wouldn't normally get the chance to talk to. So like, man, me and you are on here having a
Mhm.
good time conversation. This is awesome, and I encourage more people to do it.
Yes.
Both the ball player side and both the fan side. Like that's a good way that we all can connect.
Yes, because what, one of the things that I heard about basketball fans is that you were one of the nicest players back then when they can easily approach you and talk to you,
Absolutely.
despite, because there are some notion that since you are a Fil-Am, you are kind of snobbish, but then when
Yep.
they say Davonn Harp, no, he's a nice guy, that
Yeah.
surprised a lot.
Well, you got to understand when I grew up in Ohio,
Hmm.
like I didn't have a lot of resources,
Hmm.
didn't have a lot of financial backing. So everything that I was able to do, I
Hmm.
had to pretty much work for it. It's a saying that we have here. It's
Hmm.
called I came through the mud. That means that
Yes.
I didn't have much, and I had to make myself come up. So I'm not gonna sit there and not speak to fans that's coming and spending money to watch us play or at home
Mhm.
watching TV. I'm going to spend time with them. I always did, and I'm
Yes.
glad that people recognize that because I really prided myself on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now, do you have a son right now, or just a daughter?
I got a son and a daughter.
So, would you encourage him to play
I knew this
basketball?
question was coming. I knew this question was. I wish he was here so I can let you talk to him, but he's not here right now. But this guy doesn't want to play basketball, man. He wants
Oh,
to be a football player. He plays
oh,
football.
but he does know your history, right?
Yeah, he knows, but he doesn't want to play basketball. I'm not
Oh,
going to
man.
force him. But he plays football in high school. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
you should actually, get to look back on those playing days. Did you ever try to show him in YouTube that how you play?
Oh yeah, yeah. He pulls it up sometimes. He looks at it, but he's stuck on his football stuff. So hey, I'm not gonna stand in his way, man.
Oh man, because the next supposedly the next question that I would be asking you is that would you push him to play in the PBA? But then you just said that he's on into football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this thing, when you try to recall all the good things that happened to you back then, uh do you like what I said earlier, do you regret saying, oh, I could have played a little more in the Philippines? Would you, I mean, does that come across your mind?
Yeah, well, obviously, yes, because you always think back, coulda, shoulda, woulda. We all do that. We do that
Mhm.
about everything. And I always think back all the time. It always crosses my mind, uh, especially with that team that we had at that time.
Mhm.
Uh, I always thought we could have done more. We left a lot of. I think we left championships on the table, and I
Yes.
always yeah.
I
The team, my high school team that I coach now, I tell them that all the time. Tell them that
Yeah.
all the time.
I think you should share them your highlights so that they would be more inspired. Now, I remember that Coach Yeng Guiao was saying before, when you got suspended because of the controversy in the Fil-Am eligibility. He said we were like we lost our best big man, something like that. So it goes to
Mhm.
show how Coach Yeng recognizes your talents in this
Yeah.
team.
Like I
And
like I said, like I said, he was always a great mentor. Like I always will look up to him. He was good. he was the first coach that really really taught us how to be like men on the basketball court. So I appreciate that he said that about me, and like I said, I always put my hat off to him. Good guy.
Now, well, Coach Yeng is until right now is still coaching. Now,
Yeah, I heard.
now, was he really that intense? Coach Yeng is on the court.
God. Man, you know what? But you gotta see he knows when to put it on, and he knows when to back off. He when it was time to relax, have a good time, he relaxed. When it was time to get it in, he was ready to get it in. So that's what you gotta
be. Yeah. So now, any message to your fans who until now consider you as one of the best players in the PBA? Like what I said, a lot of them are saying that woulda, shoulda, coulda. They had hope that you would have played a little more. Any message to your fans?
Man, just tell everybody there that I love them to death, and the time I was there, it was awesome. And the people that backed the Red Bull or backed to me, I really, really appreciate that a lot. And anybody that ever want to contact me or send a message, I always send messages back. I always will say hello, and I always will spend time. So just make sure everybody knows that, and I love everybody there.
Okay. Now, Davonn, it has been a great, like what I said, this will be a short interview, and we appreciate your time that you have given us. It's like a trip back to memory lanes.
It was. I'm glad you called me.
And, the good thing about here is that, once and for all, you cleared out things, because back then, social media was not that booming. And then, of course, that's why I ask you, are you a Filipino? Something like that. This is a great opportunity to let, people know the truth and clear your name regarding that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Now, Davonn, thank you again for this time.
No problem.
I know it was
Anytime.
an honor for us to be in our show. And so hopefully next time we'll be able to get in touch with you again and talk about stuff. Any travel plans in the Philippines in the near future?
You know what? With this, I was actually thinking this situation. I don't know. I mean, of course, I want to bring my kids back there so they can see, where their heritage is from.
Mm-hmm.
So, we planning on that. I'll probably wait till they graduate high school, but we definitely planning to come back out to visit.
I see. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of Extra Session with Kiko Malicdem. Like what I said earlier, I would like to thank our guest, Mr. Davonn Harp. It was an honor to have you in our program. And so in behalf of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, games are always exciting if there is an extra session.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerrillapodcast.com.au or guerrillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.